You guys ever go to your grandma's house and eat angel food cake and think, I could never make that? Well, I'm here to tell you that you don't need to use a box mix. You can make it from scratch, and you can even make it gluten-free like I'm gonna do today. The first thing that you need to know how to do is separate an egg, because you're gonna need to separate 14 large eggs, which is what I am doing right now. Seems like a lot. It is a lot. It's more than a dozen, which generally you don't have on hand, so go out and buy some eggs to make this dish. Promise you it will be worth it. I'm down to my last egg, and I do see that there's one little bit of shell in the bottom of my bowl, and I'm going to show you how you can get that out of your bowl really easily using the edge of your eggshell. You just put the eggshell into the egg whites, and it'll float right in there. There you go. Thunk. And it goes right in there. Do you see that? A little harder when it's that many egg whites, but you get the picture. Now that that's done, you have to deal with your flour mixture. There's not a lot of ingredients in an angel food cake, but they have to be dealt with in a particular way because you want it extra light and fluffy, right? So you need to sift everything 4 times. That really aerates and lightens your mixture. And as I promised, this is a gluten-free angel food cake, and I'm using cup for cup, which is an all-purpose baking flour that's gluten-free, 3/4 of a cup. Additionally, 3/4 of a cup of superfine sugar, as well as 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, I found that when we were creating this, it was a little bit sticky if we didn't use the cornstarch, and the cornstarch helps it to stay a little bit drier, which is nice because you don't want a sticky cake. So sift this 4 times total. If you have 2 bowls, it makes it really easy. Just pour from bowl to bowl. These are one of those steps where you're like, is that really necessary? And I think the answer is yes in this instance. A lot of times I don't sift, I'll just whisk. But for a cake like this, where you really need to keep the mixture light, you want to make sure that you do it. Last one, guys. To the eggs, add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of warm water. This helps loosen it up, and if your eggs were a little bit cold, the water will help with that. 1½ teaspoons of cream of tartar. The cream of tartar helps give better loft too. All of these things that we're doing are designed to create or hold the loft of the egg whites while you're mixing and while you're baking. Whisk that together. Add a couple teaspoons of vanilla extract. It's optional, it's for flavor. You could use a little bit of lemon. So whisk those together to start off the mixing process, and then transfer it to your mixer and start beating. So this has been beating for about 3 minutes on a medium speed. Now, if you beat on a medium speed, you're gonna have a stronger meringue. Once it's at soft peaks, you can start adding the remaining sugar, which is 1/2 cup of superfine sugar, just a little bit at a time. Let it beat in and then add a little bit more. And once you've added your sugar, you can increase the speed to like a medium high or even a high, because once the bubbles have been built, they'll be strong and you can speed it along a little bit more. Then you want to continue beating this until stiff, glossy peaks form. That'll take another minute or so. I'm going to give it a check. I really don't think it's done yet, but I want to see where I'm at. Because while you want it to get stiff and glossy, you also don't want to overbeat it. Ooh, see, it's a good thing I checked, because it didn't look like it was that ready, but in fact, it is. How about that, you guys? Thank God I stopped. The dry ingredients are going to be folded in by hand, so take your egg whites off the mixer and then in 6 installments, sift the dry ingredients over your egg whites. But you run the risk of deflating them a little, but this is actually a very strong mixture for all the reasons that I just explained. Make sure to get all the way down to the bottom of your bowl. You want the flour mixture to be well incorporated without being overly worked in. Make sure that your mixture is properly folded. It's not a pancake batter. You don't want lumps. Transfer the batter to an ungreased tube pan. The ungreasedness allows the cake to sort of stick to the sides and rise really well. I like the kind that have these little feet. They cool upside down, and these feet allow you to just turn the cake pan upside down and let it cool without having to try to balance it on something. All right. You do want to even it out, and you want to make sure that there are no air bubbles. because then you'll have little pockets in your cake. So spread the top out so that it's even throughout. And then you can take either a knife or a small offset spatula or something. Then I'm gonna just run my knife through the cake, and that releases air pockets and makes sure that there aren't any in there. Then you can go back and smooth it again. Get it into your oven, 350 degrees for about 40 to 45 minutes. The top should spring back when lightly touched. You gotta let it cool. You gotta let it cool completely, and it needs to be cooled upside down. It's on its little feet. Turn it over. Look how golden and beautiful, puffed right to the top. What you wanna do now is loosen the edges. I'm gonna do that with a spatula. Try to keep the spatula really close to the edge because it's not greased for a reason, but it does stick a little bit if you don't loosen it. Now what you can do is just pop it out. Should pop right out. La! It is called angel food cake. It deserves that kind of sound, right? Now, remove it from the top. You can pull it a little bit, but go ahead and use the spatula again and just run it around the bottom. Now, this is the part that's really gonna show because it's the top, so you probably wanna be pretty careful not to cut into that too much. But there's always ways around it. Just pile whipped cream on the top if you do that. Yes. One little hole. That's all right. Beautiful, gluten-free angel food cake. Cut yourself a slice. Use a serrated knife. Beautiful. Snowy white, gorgeous perfection. A little bit of whipped cream maybe, or a lot. I mean, there's no fat in this, so pile on the fat afterwards. And how about some berries? It's completely beautiful. It's light, fluffy, pearly white, gluten-free angel food cake. Enjoy.